What is up, folks of the internet? Welcome back to another edition of the ONETA Show, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, I'm your host, Evan Davies. And today, on this edition of the show, we're back to the Cult Classic series with our resident film expert, Dylan Davies, our favorite bald man of the internet.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And you deserve that comment because, Dylan, what ungodly, horrible movie did you make me watch for this show?
Well, I didn't make you watch it.
You
It was
s-
also it was a gift.
It was a
Ma-
gift.
Adam Webb, of course.
Oh God, it's so bad, man. It was so bad.
Did you do any research for it?
Are you talking about like comic book research or like movie research?
No, like the cast and crew and stuff.
Not much. I've heard plenty of stories. I know it went through like heavy rewrites and reshoots to a degree to almost make a Frankenstein monster again. I don't understand why studios do that, the Frankenstein model. It never works.
Well, Sony is a mess. They're constantly making shit.
Would you argue this could be saved also for another show? Would you argue that Sony is possibly the worst film studio right now?
I mean, probably, yeah. At least when it comes to their big properties.
Because like Warner Brothers at least keeps trying and occasionally gets a hit. They're on a downswing, but they're at least trying to get their shit back together, and they're trying to be coherent. Disney's Disney. They're gonna hit and they're gonna miss, and that's what they do.
They're fine with missing.
Yeah, and that's whatever. But like, and even their misses, they're usually decent movies. It's just like they didn't make the big hit that they wanted because they're trying to get Frozen all the time now.
Yeah.
But Sony, holy shit, dude! Like,
So I did a little bit of research, just a little bit. So the director of this, S.J. Clarkson,
yes,
this is this is the only movie she's ever directed, other than because she's only done TV work beforehand. And then there's 5 credited writers on this, but the main 2 writers are the
writers of
the team.
Morbius, right?
So their credits are Dracula Untold, 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. Last Witch Hunter, 18%. Gods of Egypt, 14%. Power Rangers, 51%.
It's the best movie they made.
Morbius, 15%. And then this has an 11%.
Okay, so you have seen my fandom of one of those franchises since the day you were born, essentially.
Yeah.
I adore Power Rangers, and I actually think the 2017 Power Ranger movie, it's just a fun, good movie.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
not, it's nothing great, but it's a fun movie to pass the time. And I don't think there's anything that's so bad in there that you have to be embarrassed by it, outside of Krispy Kreme
Yeah.
product placement, maybe. And we're gonna
Yeah.
get to that with Madam Web.
Oh, yeah.
However,
It is bad.
however, if you have five, and go through those again, it was Morbius, it was Power Rangers, it was Gods of Egypt,
Dracula,
Dracula Untold. What was the other one? If there was another one.
Last Witch Hunter with Vin Diesel.
So all of those, in some way, shape, or form, were clearly meant to be franchise films. Dracula Untold was kind of supposed to be the soft launch of a dark universe. It didn't work,
Yeah.
which is why they went with The Mummy with Tom Cruise, because they said, we're just going to make a Tom Cruise movie and bank money, and that didn't work out either.
And that was worse than Dracula Untold.
That one hurt.
I was,
That one hurt.
that was, yeah, considering I love the 1999 Mummy,
Yeah.
that was such a letdown.
And it sucks because, like, you had good actors in it to make
Yeah.
the ideas work, but they were thinking about trying to do too much, and then the Mummy is not the Mummy, but it is, and whatever.
Mhm.
But all of those are clearly meant to be franchise starters in some way, shape, or form, and it's not working. And I don't understand how this group 5 films in is still getting work. Even 4 films in, how did they get Madam Web? And it's solely because Sony's a bunch of dodos. They have no idea what they're doing.
Well, that's the thing is like you see all these really bad. Well, I shouldn't say bad writers, but people who have not been very successful, and they just continually get work. I don't understand it.
I mean, I think it's the classic, they can work within the studio system.
Yeah,
Probably.
they're probably amiable.
And that's the thing is, oh, we want this in. Oh, no problem. Where a good writer says, absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense. Or if the studio says, we'd really prefer, you go, I will do my best to get it in, but I can't promise you that because if it doesn't work for the story, it doesn't work for the story. And that's where, like, this was one of the comments I saw on Rotten Tomatoes yesterday. Because also, I have multiple quotes from our third contributor that's not with us today, and that is my lovely wife because she's studying for her boards exam. And as a medical professional, let me tell you, there was some doozy quotes in here from my wife, and it was brutal to watch. And that's where I just don't understand how groups like this keep doing it, because there are classic stories of people that were in kind of crappy, they wrote crappier films or directed crappier films. They got a chance. Everyone said that's a horrible idea, and it worked out. But eventually, rubber's got to meet the road. You got to be able to hit the ground running and do something well. And if you can't do that after 5 films, you can't work in this line of work.
It's baffling what they think will work at Sony. There's proof that they just don't get it.
Well, so this is how we're going to steer into the Madam Web of itself. This movie does not honor the comic book character whatsoever. The comic book character is very complex and weird, as is everything that actually is Marvel Comics. There's not a sacred, Marvel doesn't have the sacred cow that DC does. DC only in the last 5 years has started to fuck with Batman because they had to. In their minds. They don't have to. But they have never steered away from the core tenets of Batman at DC because they know, don't touch him. Like, even Superman they play with, but they don't touch him much. This has no comic book accuracy whatsoever except one line. One, and it's completely misused. And
I think I know the line you're talking about.
It's a possibility.
We'll get
to that. But then, we have seen X-Men universe got better when they started getting closer back to their comic book stuff. With First Class and Days of Future Past. And Logan was very good, and it was very much inspired by Old Man Logan, which is a phenomenal comic book story. The MCU, we're just going to spruce up the comic book costumes a little bit. We're just going to spruce it up so it's fine. But very much comic book accurate for the most part. In what world that we have proven time and time again now, when you go away from the source material, it doesn't work. Why are we still trying to do this shit? And that's what this movie struggles with so much.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't understand the reason for the change either.
No. I can tell you the reason. It's they want a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, but why couldn't they just get Helen Mirren or someone? Like an actual older person.
Well, and that's the thing, is even the most popular iteration of Madam Web, the character, is actually from the 1994 Spider-Man animated series. That's probably where you probably even know that character. And it's very different than the comic books. The comic books are that character's fucked in the comics. Just fucked. I wish I had my boy Brandon, because he's the Marvel guy. I'm the DC reader. He's the Marvel guy. And he loves Spider-Man. Spider-Man's his guy like Batman's mine. So very much I wish I still had him here to be able to go boom, 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 boom. This is what Madam Web is like. But let's just start because it'll show how this makes no sense for the character. 1973.
Oof.
8 to 9 month pregnant mother goes into dangerous jungle in search of dangerous mythical spider, gets shot and is abducted slash rescued or saved by Amazonian spider legend Spider-Man.
That's probably my biggest problem with the Sony movies is it is so clearly shot in a studio with no outside at all, you know?
No!
And it like other movies can pull it off and make it look pretty good. But
Yes.
for some reason Sony is not capable.
It just doesn't make sense. I mean, my God, if they didn't have the PlayStation, that company would have died a long fucking time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And well, I guess they make decent TVs by some people's standards, but like, I don't understand how this movie studio still thinks this is a good decision. We're in the Amazon jungle. We're in the Amazonian rainforest. It looks like they fill the room with trees.
It looks like they have like 3 trees that they built, and then the rest is all green screen. And it's clearly blue or green screen, yeah.
It's brutal. Oh, by the way, you should know by now, spoilers ahead, but nonetheless, I should put that just because it's a newer movie, where Sleepaway Camp was 40 years old. We didn't have to really say that. So,
yeah.
So, spoilers ahead. But this isn't really a spoiler. But, spoilers ahead. I watched 5 minutes of it. My third line in my notes got to, this is brutal, within 5 minutes. Because...
Yeah. My first note was that CGI spider is awful looking. It is probably the worst CGI I've seen in quite a long time, actually.
It's hard to do, man. It's hard to do. Like,
yeah.
Here's my thing. Like, you and I both love behind the scenes stuff. Both you and I have always loved getting behind the scenes documentaries. We love those really big, in-depth ones. I'll go back and watch the making of Star Wars over and over and over again. I'll watch the making of Indiana Jones over and over and over again. What I don't understand is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull is shot primarily in a fucking jungle. And you know what they did? They went to the fucking jungle.
Yeah. Well, like, think of this movie and then compare it to Predator. Like, the atmosphere of the jungle in Predator is incredible.
Yes.
And then there's no atmosphere in this movie.
Zero.
Literally in any scene.
It looks like you're walking through a county park in Hawaii. That's not the jungle. I'm not saying, in all due respect to Hawaii and anything else, there is clearly jungle. That's what they used for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They went to Hawaii for that. But it's not as if you can't use that and dupe it. But there's a difference between dense Amazonian rainforest jungle and the local trail at your county park in a tropical region.
Also,
what the fuck?
It's not like you'd have to talk Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney into going to the jungle. They have 2 actors that they could just take somewhere, shoot their scene, and then be done.
Exactly. And so it's just like, what the fuck are we doing? So it already starts, I am not kidding you. The entire first 5 minutes is summed up. 1973. 8 to 9 month pregnant woman goes in search in a dangerous jungle of a mythical spider that nobody can find.
Yeah, the guy says he's been searching for years.
And you know what happens right after he says that? She finds it immediately. Oh. You don't even see her find it.
I really need to bring up the ADR in this movie is crazy.
Fuck, dude.
It's literally the worst I've ever seen in a movie, and that includes like movies from the 50s and 40s.
Now,
it is bad.
For those that don't know, could you please describe ADR for us?
Okay, so most ADR is they they find something in the movie that doesn't make doesn't make sense, kind of. So they want a line to describe it or make it more clear. So they'll have an actor come in and re-record lines.
Yes.
So most of the time, though, you're not seeing it on screen.
Yes.
Like the character will have his back to the camera or something like that. But in this movie, the guy's on camera. You can see he's not talking, but the line comes out. It is horrible.
This is like, there are moments in this where it feels like a 13-year-old had a movie project due the night like one day later, and the night before said, "Fuck, I need to shoot a movie." Like,
It's like if the movies we made in high school, if we had better technology and were able to do everything that they're able to do, that's what it seems like.
Very much so. Like, not to give us too much credit, but we at least would have been like, "Hey, that's not going to match. Why don't we not do that?"
Let's edit around that line.
Yes. And that's the fucking ridiculous part. What are we doing? And again, we're doing the same thing we did with Sleepaway Camp. And also, apologies to anyone that got the Sleepaway Camp with the audio that was screwed up. We'll probably re-record that one day, because that was a really fun show for us to record together. But we're doing the same thing where we're just going straight at it in a scene that doesn't deserve that much attention, but it just illustrates how fucking poorly made this movie is. It's brutal.
Exactly. You used the perfect word. This first scene illustrates the entire movie.
There has to be something tangible. You have to earn your way to Thanos leading hundreds of thousands of aliens onto planet Earth against superheroes. You have to earn your way to that. There's a reason Batman always works. There's a tangibility to it that people can go, I could believe a crazy guy would dress up in a suit and beat people up that are criminals. Yeah. And a rich guy could afford this kind of stuff. So that is at least sort of tangible. And then you just slowly branch out from there. You can't start with woman who's about to pop is in the Amazon rainforest with somebody she doesn't know as her protection.
Yeah, I didn't understand their relationship at all at the beginning.
We're going to get into him. I feel bad for that guy as an actor because holy shit, he had one of the worst characters I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. It's
brutal.
Have you ever seen the Blade Runner cut where Harrison Ford has voiceover?
No, I haven't, unfortunately.
It's really funny because you can tell Harrison Ford was just like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just going to put no emotion into any of my lines.
That's why
and that's what I'd say this actor seemed like he was doing that on all his lines. It's just like blank stares and, oh, it's awful.
I feel bad for the guy because the movie is brutal to him.
Yeah.
As a character, but okay.
Yeah, they did him dirty.
They did him. Well, they did everybody in this movie dirty, frankly.
Yeah, that's.
So we move on. What's our next? We escape the rainforest. Woman gives birth in a jungle pool in a secret cave. She dies, but magically her daughter has powers that she doesn't know about. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And why are the natives speaking perfect English? Like, just give them an accent.
Something.
It'd be like in Black Panther if they just spoke perfect English.
It's just like
at least they did something.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we have a super intelligent society. It makes sense that we all could speak this language. However, we should all have an accent because our native tongue comes from Africa. So we should have some sort of African accent towards English. What the I didn't even... This movie's so bad, you lose details like that to the point where I just went, okay. Because I was so focused on other shit.
The thing that makes it the worst is there's only one Amazonian guy who speaks. One guy. Just have him have an accent, and I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Exactly.
It drove me crazy.
It is so strange to me. The things that would be forgivable, those are the plot holes they sew up. The things that are unforgivable, they're just like, nah, we got it.
Yeah. It just adds to the whole, the big pile of shit in Jurassic Park. That's this movie.
Jesus Christ. So we make it to New York. It's now 2003. Dakota Johnson is quite possibly the worst paramedic of all time.
Why is it 2003? There is literally no reason.
I can tell you the reason.
Well, if they're trying to connect it to Spider-Man.
They're trying to connect it to Spider-Man. That's all it is.
That is such a loose connection, though. Like, especially because you don't need to show Peter Parker getting born in this movie.
Yeah.
It's so pointless. Like, just make it modern.
Well, so here it is. Immediately, when I saw 1973, I'm like, wait, is Dakota Johnson like 50 years old in this movie? And then went 2003, and I immediately went, oh, fuck. Because I knew we were early 2000s, and frankly, in my mind, that wasn't very kind of movies back then. So, outside of Return of the King, I don't know much about, well, first Pirates of the Caribbean came out in 2003. But I don't remember a whole lot of good coming out in 2003 except those two films.
Mystic River.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Okay, like, there's some gems. But I don't recall that entire general period of filmmaking as a high mark of filmmaking. I don't recall that.
Yeah, other than Lord of the Rings, there probably aren't many classics.
No. But here we are. Jesus fucking Christ. This Dakota Johnson is done dirty from a character standpoint.
So what was your problem with her paramedic?
Okay, first of all, this is not a paramedic. This is Grand Theft Auto New York Spiders with paramedic.
Yeah.
The amount of car theft in this film is absurd.
Yeah. And like every other scene, she's stealing something.
It's like, what the fuck is happening? And like, the first scene that you see her as a paramedic. I'm sorry, even in New York City, paramedics do not bob and weave through lanes of oncoming traffic.
Yeah, because they know that people in New York don't give a shit. They're going to cross the street no matter what.
Like, they don't do that. A paramedic still has to follow some shape or form of the law. Yeah. They can blaze through red lights if they have the path. They can do that kind of stuff. That's part of being an emergency vehicle. But
where in New York is supposed to be?
Queens?
Queens? Okay.
Because here's the other problem. They want Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's Tom Holland. And that's the fucking problem. I don't understand Stan Lee, for all of his great things that he did for comics, the greatest ambassador of comic books. He fucked us royally with these Marvel movie rights getting just dispersed.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying it's all Stan's fault, lawyers and stuff, and Stan also got taken advantage of legally multiple times, especially in his older age. I personally witnessed him being taken advantage of as a senior citizen, and it fucking sucked at a Comic-Con. So here's a little side note. I had Spider-Man 140. It's like this beautiful, beautiful yellow cover, and it's with Doctor Strange. There's a very stereotypical Asian-looking villain on it, so that's problematic, but it's the mid-60s, so they're still doing that shit.
Yeah.
And I bought it for like, I don't know, $40 from, oh my god, House of Heroes in our hometown of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Wonderful comic book store if you're ever in the area. I adore them. Yeah. Scott's good people. So, shout out to them. But I bought it, and then I think it was a year or two afterwards, C2E2 Comic Con. Stan was 95 at the time, or 94-ish. I think this was like 18 months before he passed.
Yeah.
And they're doing the Stan Lee signing, and I went, holy shit, I got it. I got to do this. I got to meet Stan Lee. And I know there's no way in hell I'm getting a picture with him. I know there's no way it's going to be a full-on conversation. I know I'm going to get like maybe 15 words. No.
Yeah.
I stood in line to get that fucking book signed for over 3 hours. And
That's
because,
surprising.
and the problem was this. It was just sad and depressing to do because you have the human emotion of Jesus Christ, why is this taking so long? And it's because Stan at like 95 is like can barely do anything and they're just like motoring him through. And it's
Yeah.
like, can you have any common courtesy towards this man that clearly like he is the reason we are all here? All the thousands of people that are in the McCormick Place in Chicago, Illinois, we are all here because he helped create the culture that we all worship, that we all adore, that gives us a safe place. Stan created all of that for us in a lot of ways. And so it's like he can sign for like 5 to 10 minutes and then he has to take a break, which is more than reasonable in your 90s. But they're just like, keep going, Stan. And you're like, can we show any fucking courtesy to this old man who's an icon in the world? Then we finally get there. They're taking books that people have had for like 40, 50 years. They're original copies of shit. Where, like myself, I bought an already really well preserved, bagged and boarded comic that I really like the artwork for with 2 characters I really like. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. It was written by Stan. Perfect. I don't have that connection. I saw people in their 50s and 60s with books from their childhood. And they're just like ripping it out of people's hands and just going and shoving them down the table conveyor belt style. There was like an 8 to 10 foot gap between the table and the line. So you handed your book to someone else. And then they did a conveyor belt. And the more you handle that old shit, the worse condition it's going to be.
Was this like an assistant or a team of people?
A team of assistants that all were fucking pricks. They all sucked. They were all rude as shit. And of course, and like, if you want your moment, so to speak, you can maybe sneak a picture while walking of Stan signing your book.
Yeah.
And so after like 3.5 hours, I got it. And you know, like, we're fucking Midwesterners. I am kind to the core because I'm from the Midwest. So like, I'm just like, common courtesy. Thank the fucking guy for doing you something. I had to essentially shout over my shoulder, thank you, Mr. Lee, I really appreciate it, as they're like shooing me away. I'm like, can I not say thank you to somebody for doing a service to me? And they're just like, here's your fucking book. And I get it, and because he's like 90 plus something years old, and he's just being like worked to death, you can tell like everyone knows that Stan Lee signature. It's one of the most well-known signatures on the planet. I can see the S, you can make out the E, and you can make out a little bit of the N. And that's it. So then I had to then go to the end of the line. There's a special station that for $20 you can get this little tiny 5x5 fucking millimeter sticker that says certified signed by Stan Lee that gets put on your book. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me right now, guys? That's not part of the charge? Are you serious?
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous.
And I was so upset, and it was just such a it ruined the whole day. And the other thing is, like, right after that, I still had a little bit of money. I was by myself, and I was in such a bad mood that I went, oh shit, I can go over to Jason David Frank, original Green Ranger, with my boys with the Dragon Sword, and he just passed away, and I'm so mad because I went, yeah, you know what, I can get into the picture line. I'm gonna do that. So I did that, and I was in such a bad mood, and then since he was tired, he was still very kind. But since he was tired, it was just like us both going like... And it's just so clearly like we're both just like, this thing sucks. Like,
well, you probably took thousands of pictures that day.
Exactly. So then like I don't even have that picture anymore because it was such a bad memory. I just kind of like let it go. And now I'm like, well, fuck, that was one of my childhood heroes, and I just let it go for no reason because I was like... Because the memory was tainted the whole day because of it. So thankfully, I turned a negative into a positive. My boy Brandon, as I said, I gave that book to him for Christmas. It's his favorite gift he's ever been given. It's no different than if someone got me super Batman shit or like Patrick Mahomes level shit. I'd lose my fucking mind.
Yeah.
So that makes it all worthwhile. But my personal experience fucking sucked. It sucked. And...
that's why I avoid those kinds of things.
And like that's the thing is I've had some of the greatest experiences in my life in a Comic-Con talking about shit like this, talking about movies, talking about comic books. Like, polar opposite, met Scott Snyder, Batman writer. One of the nicest people I've ever met. He talked to me for 15 minutes and held up his entire line because he knew I was an actual fan that gave a shit. Where a lot of people were just like, sign books. And like, this is what hurts people's feelings. If we're going to transition back from Comic-Con story to Madam Web, this is the kind of shit that hurts people's feelings. Is this level of poor filmmaking where a character that is tied to something that people like and people resonate with, and then you just treat it like absolute trash. Not only does it piss people, it hurts people's feelings.
Like, it's clear that they made the movie with apathy. And I would say, I don't want to be super harsh, but it is clear Dakota Johnson does not give a shit.
No.
She's bad in this movie.
She is. I will say this. I've heard her interviews, and it was clear that she signed up for a different project than what she got. Yeah. And that makes me feel bad. However, it's the same thing. Like, I have the same critique of Jennifer Lawrence in X-Men Dark Phoenix, where she clearly didn't want to be an X-Men anymore. And she's just kind of like... And then you're seeing other movies she's in at the same time, and you're like, oh, she cares. She really doesn't care. She cares. The amount of times where I'm like, all due respect, and I get it. Everyone has a bad day at the office, and unfortunately, your day at the office is seen by millions of people worldwide in a theater paying to see you.
Yeah.
But you gotta at least try. And there are times that, like, this is the kind of movie, in my mind, it ruins people's careers. Because she is so unlikable in this movie. What?
Yeah.
What about this character is likable? What about this character is inspiring? What about this character matters? Nothing.
Somewhere in my notes, I have a note about how, you're supposed to make your main character likable. They did not do that in the slightest.
No.
And then Sydney Sweeney also admitted she did this just because so she could sell Anyone But You to Columbia.
At least she was fucking smart about it, and she was honest. And she's like...
Well, and she clearly did care, at least.
Yeah, like, say what you will about Sydney Sweeney. I know some people don't like her acting. I have zero problem with it. I don't think she's God's gift to acting, but I also don't think she was... Of the three girls, I think she's probably the most redeemable. It's up there. She at least tries.
I don't know the character's name.
It's Maddie, Anya, and Julia. She plays Julia.
Okay, whoever the Hispanic one was,
Anya.
I thought she was pretty good.
She was all right, and I did not like the Maddie character at all. I think the actor did a fine job with the part. I'm not shitting on the actress. I'm shitting on the character. The character sucks. She's so obnoxious.
None of the actors in this really should be,
acting.
We shouldn't be too harsh on them because, it is just poorly written.
It's so
every character.
It's so bad.
Even what's his name? Now I'm blanking on his name.
Bad guy?
No.
Adam Scott's character, Ben Parker?
Yes, thank you, Adam Scott. Yeah. Even he doesn't come off the best, and he's a great actor.
He's a great actor, and frankly, since Parks and Rec, he really hasn't taken a part to make him look unlikable. He's taken parts that make him look very likable. He's a very likable actor. And he's the only one that you're kind of like, okay. Not good, but he's like, okay.
Yeah, he gets off. I mean, and then you got Emma Roberts. Why is she in this movie? Why did she agree to this? So
here's my theory on that. It kind of sums up part of this conversation. They clearly wanted this to be a franchise starter to get to a live-action Spider-Verse. They need Madam Web to do that. There's a reason there's so much goddamn ridiculously bad film student film school bullshit of shots of the spider webs in glass and everything else. By the way, in this movie, the quote I wrote down, Jesus Christ, this movie is trying to break more glass than Stone Cold Steve Austin. The amount of shit just to make spider imagery in this movie is absurd. And it's so like, it's the reason people hate talking to artists bullshit. Where it's so self-important and you're like, can we get over it? There's got to be some substance to it.
But, you said the kind of like film school kind of thing.
Can't you see all the imagery? Yes, I can, because it was thrown in my face so often, I can't go without it. And now you pissed me off, whereas if you snuck it in a couple times, I'd go, that's pretty smart. That's a nice little touch there.
There's no creativity for the imagery. Yeah.
No, whatsoever. I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm not kidding. This film could have done better as a goddamn internet meme with Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out of every glass break. Because at least it would have been entertaining. Because Stone Cold Steve Austin's entertaining. But Jesus Christ. But you have Emma Roberts. Clearly, why do you need an actress that is... I'm not saying Emma Roberts is like the actress. But why do you need a known actress to play that role?
Yeah.
Because it's too substantial for a cameo, but it's not substantial enough to justify an actress of that level.
Yes, exactly.
Of being well known enough in that. This was clearly, we're trying to set up a Spider-Verse. And we're going to need to go back to Emma, and we want a bankable star to come back to.
Yeah.
It's why, like, Kevin Costner in Man of Steel, they're like, oh, anytime we do a flashback, we can get Kevin Costner back. And you're like...
Yeah. Or
yes.
Or Russell.
Yeah. Or Russell Crowe, exactly. Anytime, we can just put a cameo in. We had another bankable star. That was clearly the direction. For those who don't, do you know the actual backstory of Richard and Mary Parker, Peter's parents?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so... I knew this, but I had to do a little bit more deep dive digging to at least do it. It's something the movies very wisely never got into because it's fucking stupid. But it's from the comic books. Both Peter's parents were actually murdered by the Red Skull. Because Peter's dad was a CIA agent recruited by Nick Fury. That's why he's gone in this film, and he's in Russia. He's a double agent in Russia.
Huh.
But my issue with that is this. This is a character tenet, not a movie tenet. If the whole point and the appeal of Spider-Man is with great power comes great responsibility, kid who's down on his luck in life, that's normal, even keel normal, gets wild powers and has to learn to be responsible of it. In what way does it serve that character to then say, no, but you don't understand. You have a magical backstory that's so fucking crazy, but now you have this. And that's clearly what they were trying to get to, and it's like, that doesn't serve anybody. That's fine if it's in the comics. Marvel comics are fucked, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Comic books can go in really weird places and tell very different stories, and to each their own, can like them or dislike them. In what way does it serve to have clearly a well-known actress who also, like, she's not old enough in the public's eyes to be a mom yet?
Yeah.
Why is she doing this? Why did you cast her in this role?
It's funny because all the actresses playing Spider-Woman pretty much are too old. And then you have Emma Roberts, who is too young. It's really weird.
It's a very strange dichotomy. And in what way does this serve the masters of even the Spider-Verse? Of even, you have these grand plans, you want to make Morbius and Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web, and you want to get to Black Cat, which is another fucking conversation we got to get to. But you want to get to all these things. Even when you want to get to those things, How in the fuck does this serve your goddamn project? How does this serve your movie? It doesn't. It doesn't at all.
Actually, you just brought up something that I didn't think about, that they also make the Spider-Verse movies, which are great.
Yeah.
It's so baffling.
It's a lot harder to fuck up animation, in my opinion.
Well, they also have Lord and Miller.
They have Lord and Miller. They have a great team over there. But I also just believe, straight up, it's a lot harder to fuck up animation because animation, you draw the reactions. Or you digitally create the imagery. Then you just need to hire good actors that can convey that with their voice and with their appeal. And they clearly did with the Spider-Verse. I mean, like, they're all heavy hitters over there. Miles is the only one who's not known.
Why didn't they... Well, I guess this would go against, like, the whole Spider-Verse thing. But you could have had Haley Steinfeld as one of the three.
Marvel's not letting that happen, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Marvel is invested in Haley Steinfeld. She's gonna be one of the like, even when did you watch the Marvels, the newest one with Captain Marvel?
I thought of something complete contradiction to what I just said. She's actually Gwen Stacy. So
yeah. So she's Gwen, but she's not. And then also she's the new Hawkeye. And they're clearly invested in her, and they're like, fuck you, you're not touching Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
And then they'd have to go up to Buffalo and fuck with Josh Allen, and I don't think they want to do that either, so, you know. He'll fucking run them over. He will. And I'm not even a big Josh Allen fan, but he'll fuck them up. Because Josh Allen wouldn't even let Haley Steinfeld work for Sony. But this is like, not to be Possess's boyfriend, though, but this movie just like, there's so many things. I don't even want to go through scene by scene. I just want to get highlight points here.
Well, this is right after the jungle scene. I don't think this writer knows how fortune cookies work.
No.
Did you see that? Because Adam Scott makes a joke. Oh, something about how the Chinese place knows about fucking Madam Web. It's like, do you actually think that every Chinese place makes their own fortune cookies? Like, so stupid. I don't know.
Well, again, we have a paramedic who's driving the fucking ambulance like it's Grand Theft Auto.
And a paramedic that seemingly doesn't care about human life.
So why does she care? Exactly. Why does she care? To the point where she saves a kid's mom, and the kid draws a nice little picture. I'm sorry, I work with children. I get a ton of small drawings. There's plenty of times that I go, okay. Do I need it? Do I love the sentiment? Do I care about it? Do I always compliment them? Do I always take care of it and make sure that they know there was such a kind gesture? Yes! Because I'm not a psychopath.
My thought was, even I'm socially inept, but even I know that that's a weird thing to do.
That's a fucked up thing to do. That's not even weird. That's just fucked up. All it takes is, oh, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. This is really nice.
She tries to pawn it off on Adam Scott.
It's like, she's unlikable from the first minute to the last.
Yeah.
It's brutal, dude. It's brutal. So first quote from my wife. Quote, "The medical inaccuracies are killing me." And that was preceded by a huge, ugh. If your character, it's not accurate to the comic books, but if your character is a paramedic in your film, maybe at least try to make it look like something a paramedic might do. Why is this paramedic dumb enough? Why are two paramedics that have safety protocol in place, that's what they're taught, nonstop, if you're going to be put in danger, you can't go do it half the time. Same thing with CPR training. If it's not safe for you, you can't go give CPR because it's not safe for you.
Yeah, it's like the writers went, what does a paramedic do? CPR. That's CPR and that's it.
That's it.
That's the only thing they'll do.
It's the only thing they can do. It's the only thing they will do.
Yeah. Well, I guess she cuts that one guy out of the car. 2 things.
But she climbs into a vehicle that's hanging off the side of a bridge. First of all, why in the fuck does every Spider-Man movie have to have something on a goddamn bridge that's going to fall? There are so many structures in New York. Use those. Stop going on the bridge hanging off the side of it. Fucking sick of it. And that's why I also hate the fact that half the characters in Marvel are based in New York. Because then we get way too many goddamn bridge scenes that are all the same. Nonetheless, she's not intelligent, and she's not good at her job, and she's a horrible driver. But she's a good driver. That was one of the things that sucked. This goes back to my thing where I said they cared about plot holes that don't matter. Yeah. They made it a point to show her to be a GTA level driver early. Why? Because they're going to have a ton of GTA style driving.
Well, she hits people with cars like 5 times in this movie.
It's fucked. It's ridiculous.
It's so weird.
But she doesn't assess the situation. She sees a man hanging upside down from a vehicle that is hanging off a bridge. And you know what she does? She climbs into the vehicle on the side that's closest to falling into the bridge. Not thinking about counterweight, not thinking about anything. Doesn't think about a single thing to assess the situation. She just gets in, unbuckles, and Ben's like, oh, I gotta save him. Pulls him out, and she just goes, whoop. And that's how we learn that she has powers.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to ask. Why, when she hit the water, why would that unlock her powers?
It goes back to like the whole mutant thing, that this is at least something that made sense. Mutants in the comic books, and then they started doing this in the movies as well to really try to accentuate these things. It was their powers were kind of laid dormant, and then under high levels of stress, usually during puberty, a mutant has that happen. The problem is this. Madam Web is a mutant in the comic books. But you can't use the term mutant in Sony. Can't do that. Yeah. And so it's just weird because then you have the tie back and you're like, see? We care about you. But we don't because the rest of the movie sucks.
But even from the writer's perspective, why would that unlock her powers?
She's in a stressful environment all the time.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not like they showed her like almost drowning or anything. No. It's just immediately when she hit the water.
She hit the water and then it's just like,
powers unlocked.
I mean, shit. If this were back in the day, like at the late 80s, 90s, with like parent boards having a lot more power than they do now, they'd say, this movie's teaching children to jump off bridges and they'll get powers. Like, that's the level of stupidity in this writing. There's no, struggle. There's no, I can't make it to the top of the water, but I'm trying. And then finally, the back of my brain unlocks and just goes, we can see that the body's about to die. We have to give this to you. After a huge struggle and earn it, it's just like, water, she clearly can still do something to struggle and try to do it. But she goes, water, I'm Spider Jesus.
What'd you think of the effect for her powers? I thought it was pretty lackluster.
Lackluster at best.
Yeah. Like, you can tell they went for style, kind of.
Yes.
Where she seemingly, like, is floating, but I don't know. It was
a strange way to try to honor the comic books. And that's my issue with all these movies that were made in the early 2000s that were comic book films. Or Sony, who's still doing that shit now. And I can't lie, DC kind of still does it too from time to time. Why the fuck does it always have to be half-assed? We're going to make it look like the comic book without letting it be the comic book. If you're making a comic book movie, you're making a comic book.
Well, one of the things I'll give Zack Snyder in Man of Steel, when he's showing, like, the young Clark, his power kind of emerging, he at least does something creative with it.
Yes.
Like, that classroom scene is actually pretty creative.
Yes.
This is just... whatever.
When he takes flight the first time, it shows that he kind of like defies gravity. He's like, almost like he charges it up, and the ground's like there's so much energy about to go. Rocks are starting to float around me. I don't really necessarily like the take, but at least it goes. We're gonna give an explanation to this that kind of honors it, and then he goes from tall man that can leap tall buildings in a single bound to finally he can fly. So it kind of tells the whole origin story of Superman. Her whole lackluster power set makes no sense. How she gets it and why it looks that way, except there's webbing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, one of the thoughts I had is they should have moved that Peru scene up to the beginning, and then she could have got her powers when she entered that water.
Yes.
That would make sense of why it's unlocked.
See, the thing is,
This doesn't.
I could even give them this. It was flabbergasting to me. So we had to, what was it? I had to go fill Ab's water or something when we were watching the movie last night. And I just had to go like change some dishes or something. So I paused it right as the return to Peru happens. And I was like, holy shit, we're an hour and a half into this movie? And we're getting this? And then I looked, I'm like, there's only 30 minutes left in this film to wrap this whole thing up. We haven't gotten anywhere.
Yeah, considering it's an origin story, you would think you would include that at the beginning.
Yes.
Not at the very.
Wild shit. And so we go, and you have, I would have said, put that 30 minutes in. She immediately, she's in stress, let's do the stressful situation, sees her powers. And she's...
Well, that's a perfect plot point for the end of Act 1.
Yes.
It's perfect, but they didn't do that.
And then you can say at the end of Act 2, you can go, she failed. But we still have a chance to reconcile. And under that great stress that she's going through, she can see the whole web, so to speak. And she can hear the Amazonian Peruvian guy who speaks perfect English with no accent. He can kind of go, you were ready. Trust it. Just literally steal the Man of Steel arc. Just steal it and go, she gets powers, it's really fucking wonky, and they're not good. Goes in pool, she now has powers. Great. Not great, but she's getting better, and she's thinking she has a handle of it, and then clearly fails. Then, has a handle on it, trusts herself, boom. Did you watch X-Men 97?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it.
It's the Storm episode, where Storm reclaims her powers, and Forge has been telling her, there's nothing wrong with you. And at the end, it's a convoluted way to do it, but finally she unlocks it and she realizes, wait, I'm a fucking goddess.
Or Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
When he has to lift that big ass beam off of himself.
It's the classic superhero moment where you just have to have faith in yourself.
Yeah.
Why does that happen an hour and a half into the movie? And we have this whole convoluted horse shit.
To go back to something you said, it is amazing how little happens in this movie. You look at the time, you're about 90 minutes in, and you go, wow, nothing has happened.
We have no resolution to anything. We have dastardly mustache twirling villain who is... I almost feel like we're getting incoherent because the movie's getting incoherent. But
that's the thing is, when you have an incoherent movie and you're trying to go in scene order, it's not going to work.
You can't. So let's talk about the villain here.
Okay, good.
Poison powers. I literally wrote poison powers. Huh. Question mark. Okay.
Also, his suit is shit.
It looks shit.
So bad.
And also, here's the other thing. Again, this is where I was having this all day long. Why does it look so close to Spider-Man without being Spider-Man?
Yes, exactly.
And then So the idea to me is, if this was a tool to try to set up when Sony gets a little bit more control back, which is never going to happen, but because if Marvel's playing that game, Marvel can easily say, "We rescued this fucking character. We'll just stop using him if you're not going to let us do more with him." Because so everybody knows nobody trusts Sony. They have zero love in the marketplace.
Yeah,
from a filmmaking standpoint.
Before Marvel jumped in, I mean, Spider-Man was pretty much dead.
It was dead because they ruined it. They killed it. They had the perfect actor to play Peter Parker, a kid who grew up wanting to be Peter Parker, and he was a good Peter Parker.
Yeah.
To the point where I said, just fucking stop Peter Parker. Just try with Miles. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But it was the idea that he makes an evil spider suit so that when Peter becomes it, then could that be a note for like a J. Jonah Jameson type to say, see, he's just like that spider menace that we talked about, we saw 20 years ago. Look at him. Or was it just Blair's stupidity?
That 10 seconds you just had to think about that is more thought than they put in.
Most likely. That's my worst part.
It's just like, oh, it's a Spider. He needs to look like Spider-Man. Why?
Why? You can make him look however you want.
Yeah, yes.
You can make him look, because he's not a real thing.
No.
And if he is, he's like a backstory villain. That doesn't make sense.
Does he have a suit like that in the comics?
I don't even know if that character's real. That's how much of a deep dive this movie goes into. There are not 3 spider girls, to my knowledge. There's a spider woman.
I think I heard that 2 of them are Spider Woman, and then 1 is Spider Girl, something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna look up see if he's in the comics.
But what is his name?
Ezekiel Sims.
Okay, what is the villain's name?
Oh, you mean like
does he have a name? Or does he exactly? Does he have a name? No.
Okay, so he is a comic book character, but in the pictures I'm seeing, he just wears a suit.
Exactly. Fucking stupid. So we have poison powers. Huh. He beds a national security agent for the NSA, which just got created at the height of 9/11, and they clearly hinted that this was peak we're scared of terrorism because of 9/11 times. And this woman just has a security badge in her backpack, in her handheld purse.
Yeah, one of the notes I wrote down is facial recognition in this movie is better than it is in modern day.
I literally have AI pretty good for 03, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like they're just like, well, this is what they look like, huh?
He must have been working with the most incredible sketch artist for his character descriptions, because those 3 pictures are the girls.
They are just the girls. There's so much, too many leaps. Way too many leaps. It has to be tangible. It has to be real. It's the same thing. I've heard period. I bring him up too often. My apologies, but there's been ideas to do period piece Batman, period piece Superman, Wonder Woman, period piece. You can't have Wonder Woman, the version that we got from 2017, in World War I. She can't magically have a computer because it doesn't make sense. You can't. And guess what? They didn't do it because that movie is coherent and makes sense.
Hey, and guess what? If you wanted to make it logical, have it in the modern day. And
people would have bought it.
Yes.
ChatGPT, it'll take care of those problems for you. But
yeah,
how does he have this fucking technology? Also, this was something he said multiple times. I need to protect what I have. I need to protect what I made. I'm doing this for what I made. What has he made? What has he done?
That I have no idea. Like, what is his job?
What is his job? What is his empire he's protecting? What is his legacy? Why is he... There's no character motivation except I was treated like shit my entire life.
Well, I actually do like the idea that he sees these three girls kill him in the future. I thought that's actually pretty interesting. But then I don't know. Maybe it was the actor. I don't know, but I don't buy it of why he would just go and straight up kill these people.
So here's the thing. Why does he have visions? Makes no sense.
Yeah, that's true too. I guess the spider gave it to
The
him.
spider gives it to him, but they say the Amazon guy who's from fucking San Luis Obispo, California,
Yeah.
says, "Oh, he was cursed." Okay, so he was
Oh,
cursed.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay, so he was cursed because he stole the spider, but then he still gets some awesome fucking powers. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but to each their own.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. But why? And I agree with you. The idea of I'm going to get hunted, I'm going to be killed, so I need to strike first. That is a
Yeah.
good enough. That is better than some villain motivations.
Yeah. That's better than at least half of them.
But then he goes, "I won't lose what I built." So is this to preserve your life? Or is this to preserve your. Are we just supposed to assume you're some industrialist empire emperor that's just like making money hand over fist with evil, toxic industry and shit?
Yeah. And they do this twice in the movie, actually. Why do characters give like this really important exposition, very personal things to complete strangers? They do it with Madam Web in that bridal party or baby shower scene,
Hmm.
and then they do it with him and the NSA girl.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And like maybe the villain, you can say, well, he knows he's about to kill her, so what does he care? But like, fucking Christ, dude. This is absurd. What is he protecting? Why is he doing what he's doing? Why does he care? That doesn't come through enough because the idea of by itself, I need to get them before they get me. Fine. I
You
can
know a
accept it.
better you know a better plan? Befriend these girls who have powers in the future.
Maybe manipulate them towards your own game. Do
There you go.
something.
Yeah.
Nah. You know what I should do? I should kill teenagers.
Yeah. They're 17, but I'm gonna fucking kill them.
Okay, so like,
I'm gonna choke them out.
and so like, here's the other thing: inconsistencies. He needs to covertly seduce an NSA operative who has
Which doesn't make sense either. How did he seduce her at an opera?
exactly, and it's set up like it's someone he's known forever,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah,
so she's like an insider for him.
I thought it was his wife at
Something,
first,
something like that.
and yeah, and then he like, what is he like gives her a something, and then they smile, and that's it.
That's
That's
it.
all.
And then she's like, and then he's like, come back to my place with the jungle in the middle of it with a spider.
All that was weird too. His whole apartment.
And so the apartment doesn't look nice enough to justify him being like some crazy rich motherfucker. I have another detail on that one too. But then it's clearly nice enough that you're like, oh, he's got money. But it's not nice enough that you're like, fuck, I understand that he's got to protect this shit as some crazy
Well, I
asshole.
think part of the problem is their lack of atmosphere. Like it doesn't feel like they're in New York City.
Which is so strange. Yeah.
It's New York. It's the easiest fucking scene atmosphere to do. It's so easy.
That set's been built a billion times. A billion
Yeah.
times. There are movies being
Uh,
shot in New York and TV shows being shot in New York every second of every day, all the time.
Yeah,
And
and they have more atmosphere than this.
and didn't they shot? I think they shot in Mexico City. That's what it said at the end of the trailer,
Really?
or at the end of the movie. It says tax credits because they were shot in Mexico City. But then there's some stuff that was clearly like very New
Why did-
York esque But it wasn't like
Yeah,
New York, New
they
York.
they could have shot in Atlanta, which is where most Marvel things are shot. That would at least kind of look like New York a little bit.
You do something, something. But
Yeah.
he's not rich enough to believe it, but he's rich enough to get this shit. Okay, fine. My biggest detail, my biggest gripe again, little details that matter and they think they don't. If he's supposed to be protecting this like grand fortune, this empire that he's created with this spider, and he's been able to do all this stuff. Major things for me. Number one, this will sound like the pettiest. Why is he driving a Corvette? Rich people don't drive Corvettes, okay?
Yeah.
People who
Rich people don't.
Rich people who think they're rich but aren't actually rich drive Corvettes. Rich people drive shit that makes Corvettes look like dog shit.
Yeah.
First of all, what the fuck? That one actually really bothered me because I was like, what is he? Is he rich? Is he not rich? Is he
also
somewhere in the middle?
Also, if he's a rich person like they're trying to suggest, he would be a known entity in this world. People would recognize him.
Most likely. So then we have that. Then we have the fact that as this villain, he does not care about collateral damage at all. And then we're supposed to believe at the end of the movie, she just says, Ben, don't worry about it. Once you're away from us, he won't care about you. Bitch, he was about to blow up a full city block to try to kill you guys.
Yeah. And what is his weapon of choice? A grenade.
A grenade. Plus, prior to that, anytime he's in any scene, he's just murdering fools. Yeah. He's just straight up taking people by the head, smashing their heads, snapping their necks. He doesn't care at all. I literally was like, that's a lot of collateral damage for a villain that needs to stay in the shadows and not be seen.
Yeah. And then if you look at it from the three girls' point of view, they don't know this guy, and he's just going to randomly come up and kill you?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So strange. It's so strange.
They should be much more freaked out than they are.
It goes back to the quality of the film all entirely. But I'm just going through my notes because it's just here.
Well, I wanted to bring up, is there anything you liked about it?
The only thing I liked about it, there was one note. I was going to say two and then they ruined it later. I'm just going to jump towards the end. Because there's a lot of inconsistency that bother me to no end.
Oh, I got a lot of notes still to come.
Oh, but before we get to this, I do have another one. This guy who needs to stay in the shadows, never be seen. He needs to protect what he has. What does he do after he attacks a diner? He just takes the mask off in the fucking middle of, in front of everybody. And he's just walking around. What is he doing?
Also, that's a very weird choice for an action set piece.
A diner?
Why a diner?
It's a genius choice for another movie. It's just not a genius choice for this one. It needs to fit. It's like it's kind of like the cantina from Star Wars. That's a perfect thing for Star Wars because you're seeing all the aliens, you're seeing all the stuff that makes Star Wars Star Wars. A diner in rural New Jersey. Another thing. Why is Midtown High the fucking kids from Peter's school in goddamn Queens? Why are they high school boys? Why are they by themselves in a diner in rural New Jersey?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Why?
Why are they in the woods of New Jersey?
Exactly. It makes no sense. So going to things I did like. I'm not kidding when I say I liked 2 moments of this film and one was ruined.
Okay.
Towards the end, I appreciated the fact that they finally showed she had some ingenuity based on her being a paramedic when she said charge the AED and hit the thing at the top of the roof to shake him off. I said, you know what? That's a great way to counter someone who clearly has powers above your own, but you can use your own intelligence against them to something that they can't counter. I was like, you know what? That was actually kind of cool. That was actually smart for a paramedic to do. Hey, I know there's these giant electrical shocks that could fuck me up and fuck everybody else around me. What if we just used it against him? And a metal roof. Now, granted,
I did like that moment.
I was like, you know what? That's a smart moment. My second moment, that was ruined. Decent callback to going to the building that was a hazard. She remembers everybody saying, we need to get these people clear because this thing can come down at any time and it is fucking dangerous.
You mean the fireworks factory?
Yes. So, at least she went, I know this is a problem, but maybe we can use it. And you're finally going, maybe there's some intelligence here. It's risky, but maybe. And I'm just trying to give it something. And then, I don't know about you, I didn't know fireworks could take out brick walls, like rocket launchers.
Yeah, and then they can blind you underwater, too.
What the fuck?
So, that end scene, the fireworks part, is the ugliest scene I've seen in a long time. It just looks awful.
Yeah, it just looks bad. We've skipped so much of this movie. Here are just wild inconsistencies that make no sense to me. And then we'll talk about the end because we need to talk about product placement hard. But
yeah, I took notes of every time Pepsi is mentioned.
Jesus Christ. But going back, why are Midtown High kids from Queens in rural New Jersey by themselves? Why does a villain that is so worried about protecting his identity, why is he taking off his mask and killing people he doesn't need to kill? Why does she fall asleep in her jacket?
I don't remember that part. When is that?
She has one of the dreams where it's like, my mind, you can't beat me with your mind, and like it's when she's abandoning them in the motel room. I know that's so nitpicky, but this is the problem with movies like this. You start getting to see really stupid stuff. Where there's plenty of stupid things in movies that are awesome, that are great. But if you looked around, you're like, that's a little weird. If you're like nitpicking, but you're distracted by greatness or good.
That's the apathy showing.
Whereas,
they just don't care.
You could say she fell asleep protecting them when she shouldn't have, and so she kept her jacket on. But that bothered me because I was just like, you're clearly not taking care of this. If you were, you'd find a better way to shoot this.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is it that someone who is clearly now a suspect in a kidnapping and murder case, how can she magically get on a plane right after 9/11 and go to Peru?
That's a good point.
And then better yet...
No, she drove there.
Yeah, she drove there. Better yet, if, by some happenstance, she gets on that flight and it works out for her. Let's just say it works. Just for the sake of the movie. Say it works. Who in their right fucking mind goes to the jungle? This is from Abbott, by the way. Who brings a JanSport to the fucking rainforest? It's one backpack with jeans and she's got a flannel tied around her. She's so ill-prepared to go into the jungle.
And I also wrote down, white girl from NYC going to the Amazon alone. Great idea.
What are you doing?
Like, no guide, nothing.
No guide, no gear, Indiana Jones level fucking map. Like, with no ability to do anything. We've never seen her be able to venture into things, go, do something that needs navigational skills. We've never seen anything like that. But she's trekking into the Amazon with a fucking JanSport backpack and jeans.
Also, I know it's just convenient for the movie, but you would never be able to locate that exact location with a photograph.
No.
It's 30 years. It's 30 years in the future. You think it's going to look the same in Amazon? No.
No, exactly. So that makes no sense. We get here. Even the other thing that I absolutely loved, Ab, quote from our unofficial third guest today. Not even a hair tie? She's like, I'm so sick of all these bitches with their hair down when it makes no sense. She was going off.
Yeah.
So, for context, I think I told you this, but for our listeners, Ab said it was somewhere in like late April, early May, right as Netflix got Madam Web. She was scrolling through and she said, "Oh, should we watch Madam Web?" And I said, "Absolutely not. There's no way in hell I'm going to watch that movie." Except if I literally said, except if I do it for a podcast. And then we talked about it and I said, "You're in luck, kid. I got to watch it for the podcast." So we'll watch it.
That's another thing that pissed me off. That you can't watch this on Netflix if you only have the ad version. You have to have the ad-free version. So I ended up buying this movie.
You didn't rent it?
Well, it was $4 to rent or $7 to own. So I was like, fuck it. I'll own this shit. Never going to watch it again. Never going to use it.
We might need it for another podcast. You never know. For notes or something like that. But, oh yeah, there's plenty of times rent is $4 and buy is $5. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'll buy
I just
it.
buy it. If it's no difference, pretty much, yeah.
But she goes into a jungle unprepared with just a photograph and an Indiana Jones fucking map. With no skill and ability to get there. She meets random jungle man. Doesn't question him at all. Doesn't try to run. Doesn't try to do anything. Just, he says, "Do you trust me?" And she's like, "I don't think I have a choice." That was the best we got.
I mean, if you're going to boil it down to one line, sure, that's fine.
But
Because
try.
He really doesn't.
But try.
Yeah. There's so much things they could have done if they just gave it 2% more effort. I don't.
And then oddly, I got good and bad medical feedback from the birth scene. Or when mom dies, and then she gets saved/abducted by the Amazonian spider people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I literally got this quote. "Probably has a short cervix, spontaneous preterm labor at 36 weeks. She's like, "That's real. That's a possibility." And I was like, "This is an OBGYN talking. Okay." She's like, "It's fucking ridiculous." But then she's like, "Where did she get shot?" And I kind of showed her, it's like, abdomen or whatever. She's like, No. Where did she get shot?
Yeah.
And I was like, "I think here." And she's like, "She wouldn't die from that at all. There's no vital organs there. There's nothing that's good." Like, she wouldn't spontaneously just die. And I went, "Oh."
Also, I am so sick of seeing movies do that thing where they have two people wrestling for a gun and then it goes off. I never have to see that again in my life.
I can't wait.
It happens so much.
I can't wait to write a movie with you and insist on a scene like that. It's going to be great.
I'll just cut it out.
But
because I hate it.
Yeah. So we have so many goddamn inconsistencies throughout. Did you know? I didn't know this. She's fucking Captain America as well. Shrapnel.
Oh, yeah,
she just picks it up and uses it as a shield. I'm like, "Oh, so you're Captain America now." Okay, then.
That made I got a pretty good chuckle out of that one. But to go back to the Amazon scene, she has the best line reading in this movie when she says, "But I don't have a neuromuscular disorder." Says it just like that. Absolutely no emotion. Nothing. She drove me crazy in this movie, Dakota Johnson. Because you can tell that she doesn't care, doesn't really want to be here. I mean, even if she signed up for a different movie, you would think, I'll give it my all, even if it's shit. Who cares?
Yeah, there are actors that do that. as being a professional. Holy fuck, though, dude. Like, the connection with the mom, how does she magically get to go back in time and hug her mom?
Yeah. And why is her assumption that the mom didn't even care about her? Why is
Yeah.
that the assumption?
What?
Did she not know she got shot?
Yeah, she died. She knew she died.
Then, yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Makes zero sense. At least
And she's
I
like,
recall saying that, her saying that.
if
She died in childbirth. No, she says that. She died in childbirth. Why does that make it so that she didn't care about you?
yeah, she said that during the baby shower. Also, to go back to that baby shower scene, why is someone who seemingly hates attention constantly making herself the center of attention? Constantly.
Because it's convenient to the movie, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's so many things like this, and that's where I think we have to go now to our finale.
Well, one sec. Let me look at my notes, see if there's anything important. Oh, I really wanted to bring up that she's watching A Christmas Carol in the summer. What the fuck is?
What are you doing?
That was so weird.
And also, you only have a VHS or maybe a DVD at that point.
You would have DVD. I don't know about the 1940s version of Christmas Carol, though.
But what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, let's see. I also wrote down that subway is way too clean. There's no piss anywhere.
Nope. As someone who lives on the East Coast, I can fucking tell you that is wrong. And I can't wait to leave the East Coast because it's exactly like you just said. It's just full of piss and trash. And I was in New York 2 years ago, and I'll be in New York next month for like a day or two. New York is filthy. It's disgusting. And that was the nicest train station I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pristine.
No problems.
No, it's great. And then I also, this was the most important note I wrote down. Because I said, this scene describes the entire movie. Why would you have Dakota Johnson have this huge exposition dump given to a cat rather than 3 characters who could actually use the information? That makes no
I didn't even think about it because I just was like, it's fucking stupid. They're gonna just do it.
But I was like, you have a characters who you could deliver that information to. You don't have to deliver it to a cat.
But why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we do that? Because we can get the cat in. The cat's the most convincing actor in this film.
I've never been paid to write anything, and I could tell you, hey, maybe deliver it to the characters who use that information.
That's why we gotta get that movie up and running, my friend. But this is fucking absurd. You're completely right, though. Why, like... I'm currently trying to do framework for 6 to 10 different written projects for the channel and other things that we're working on creatively. This breaks writing 101 tenets. This breaks shit that you learn in creative writing 101.
Yeah.
This breaks shit you learn in a creating writing course you had in high school.
Yeah, it's like the writers need to get to a certain point. So they work backwards to get to it. And they chose the easiest option, whatever it was.
There's no love, there's no care for this movie. And that is why, at the end of the film, our villain is killed by Pepsi.
Yes. Well, my last note was, who's the real hero of this movie? Pepsi. Does more good work than Madam Web does.
We have a fight with a building collapsing. Don't worry, the Pepsi sign is still good, even though the building is collapsing everywhere.
Yeah.
Only the S.
Still works.
Only the S is a little shaky. Okay. Fine. Brochacho keeps getting hit with shrapnel. He doesn't have a spider sense. I understand that.
Yeah.
What happened to his agility? What happened to... I think after you get hit with shrapnel once, you don't let your prey, Madam Web, just slowly back up and keep looking at the same thing. Like, even Ab was like... Ab's just like, bitch, stop looking. You're giving yourself away. And he just keeps going. What is happening?
I wrote down that the action scenes are like Michael Bay level, Transformers level incoherent. They are horrible.
It's incoherent of what's happening, what's going on.
Yeah.
Just whole explosion. Also, Maddie, for lack of a better word, it's the only way to describe her quickly because we haven't given her any context. The black girl in the film. The token black girl in this film. When she almost gets knocked off the building, is that believable at all? She does a full Spider-Man turn, gripping the thing. Where the other two, they at least kind of like... They're all bad, but the other two, at least you're like... Maybe. Adrenaline, saving your life, maybe. That one, she does a full spin around and she still just goes, got it! Like it's Wolverine in the first X-Men film. Does a full spin around something.
Well, the action scenes are just lazy.
Lazy.
Like they have all three girls just run up to him, and that's it. No, nothing creative about it. They just have him run up to him. He dispatches them quickly, and then Madam Web is alone. It's so stupid.
It's so dumb. Also, why, if his mission is to kill them, why isn't he trying to kill them? Why is he trying to kill Madam Web? He doesn't care about Madam Web.
Yeah. Good point.
All three are on the brink of death.
Yeah.
Instead of the person who can't do anything and going after her, how about use your little spider powers over there? Jump over to the post that one of them's on. One of them is hanging off the side of the building on the Pepsi sign like this. How about this? Just step on her fucking feet and let her drop and die. Nope.
Yeah.
One is hanging over an exploding warehouse full of fireworks that are exploding and a building that's purely on fire. How about instead of Madam Web, jump over and just go, nope, and push her down into the flames?
Why do you think it was a fireworks place? What was the logic there?
I think that is somebody thought it would be really cool if a final scene happened in a fireworks depot.
They just thought it was cool. Yeah, probably.
That is the only logic that I can give to it. As someone who has had thoughts and in stories myself gone like, oh, that'd be really cool. Let's see if it fits somewhere. But I have the good sense to go, doesn't fit here. Let's table the idea, write it down somewhere, hold it. Let's see what we can do. That's another one of those Frankenstein pieces, man, where someone had this idea and someone said, oh, we got to keep that. We got to keep that. And it just but it moves and all these things that doesn't make sense. Also, we already saw that building beforehand. Nothing about it said fireworks at all.
No.
Where at least if maybe they were trying to run up or something and one box kind of like was near the edge that wasn't going to set the whole place on fire, but like a couple rockets shot out of it, people would be like, oh fuck, this is serious shit. Like that's a fireworks depot over there. No.
Well,
nothing.
I thought one of the girls should try to shoot some Roman candles at him.
Something.
That's at least do with it.
No, let's just put flares in all the boxes though. That's what's going to happen.
I wrote down, this climax is on Ambien. Because there is no energy to it.
And that's where we leave with this. Madam Web. She doesn't succeed. Pepsi Cola signing. Broski falls off the Pepsi sign, and then the Pepsi sign collapses on top of him. Pepsi Cola kills our villain.
Yeah.
And then...
Doesn't he have strength? Isn't that a power he has?
Theoretically.
Oh.
So he dies. Also, did you see when he was pinned down talking to her the whole time? How he didn't look pinned at all?
Well, yeah.
It's like, you at least try to make it look good.
Yeah.
He falls to his demise on the street. Pepsi Soda comes and kills him. And then magically she somehow falls into the water. Again.
Yeah.
One firework comes and takes out her eye, even though it looks like it hits her shoulder.
It's so funny. I loved it.
Like, I think I wrote a note. I wrote this note at the time. Killed by Pepsi. What? As I wrote that note, the shot comes. I look up right as the firework's coming. And I go, huh, she just got hit in the shoulder by a firework. That sucks. And then
fireworks are like that underwater.
And then all of a sudden it's just like,
if you think a bullet doesn't work underwater, you think a firework will?
Dylan, obviously it would. Movie magic, baby.
They could have had her get hit by shrapnel or something. That would make sense.
Very much so. Then we do this. In what way did they show why she became paraplegic?
I didn't understand that at all. I didn't understand that she was in a wheelchair at the end. Until like the last
I know
scene.
The character is supposed to be paraplegic.
Yeah.
But I don't know why she's paraplegic.
No. It makes no sense. Because they don't show her get injured at all except getting hit by a firework, right?
Exactly. They get her out of the water and then it's just like Hollywood, see, she's blind. And you're like,
yeah,
fine. This is so
also
dumb, but fine.
I need to bring up how stupid that CPR callback is. I hated it so much. It's like, oh, I'll do CPR for 10 seconds. Okay, take over.
That's not how CPR works. You're supposed to pass it off. As someone who has to be trained in it every year and is married to a medical professional, you do it until you physically can't do it, and then you pass it off.
Thank you. I was going to say, you get tired, and then you pass it off. You don't do 10 seconds.
You don't do it once and then go, okay, you take over, then it's my turn, then it's your turn, then it's my turn, then it's your turn. You do it until you physically cannot do it anymore. Because also, your rhythm needs to stay the same.
Also, why would you have, in the earlier scene that you set up, have all three of them do CPR, but then in the last scene, only have two of them?
Yeah.
What? It is just baffling how stupid it is.
And then she's in the hospital. Spider-Man's born. Hooray. Dad's nowhere to be seen. But Uncle Ben is, because we care about Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to the fucking responsibility line, and I don't even know if it's worthwhile. We'll get back to it in a second. But then, new apartment. All three technically have parents. No legality is shown whatsoever, and they're just all living there. Apparently.
Well, the only one that makes sense is the Hispanic girl.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have parents in that country.
Exactly. So you're like, okay, maybe her. The other two, nothing. Nothing.
Especially Sydney Sweeney. Like, she has parents in the city.
Yeah. They don't do anything? They're not going to try at all? So they're all living in an apartment. Who has money? What are they doing for money? What are they doing? No. And like, we can say, well, she's rich.
No, she's not.
Maddie, the black girl, I hate to say that. She's rich. Okay, even if we do that, her parents are going to notice that she's just gone forever?
They're just out of the country for months at a time, apparently.
So, and then she's just paraplegic in a wheelchair. And you're like, how the fuck did we get here?
I wrote down, This movie would be 10 times more interesting without Madam Web in it.
Yeah.
Just give the girls the powers and then have them face off against this guy.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get it. I'm just defeated by this movie.
Yeah. It's so bad. I mean, that's why I think that now would be the thing. The most well-known, possibly the only line from comic books that's actually known from comic books. With great power, there must also come great responsibility.
I would say even non-comic book fans and non-comic book movie people,
They know that shit.
line.
They know that line.
Yeah.
We're going to warp that line for Madam Web. To get... Yeah. You'll get great power when you take the responsibility. And you're like...
When you take on the responsibility, great power will come. I rolled my eyes so hard at that one.
It's just like, come on. And that's where it's so...
Is it Uncle Ben that delivers that?
Yes! That's an Uncle Ben line.
Okay, I mean, so he just uses that every day, apparently.
Well, so the Amazon guy says that to her, but that's Uncle Ben says that. How does he get that?
Oh.
How are they...
So Uncle Ben steals it from Madam Web, who stole it from the Amazon guy.
Yes.
It's so stupid. Oh, God. Especially considering that's like the line with the most pathos is that line. And then you're just going to use it in Madam Web? Why?
As a throwaway line.
You don't even need it.
No. Not at all. And this is my greatest issue. This movie is so bad. It's there. I don't think is there a single thing that's likable in this film?
The only other thing that I actually liked was where she sees her visions in the train, him killing those girls. And I only liked it because it was unexpected.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to go to like that dark. So I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting, I guess. That
was good, although she did it like 4 times.
Yeah, that was the annoying thing. They did it for each girl.
And you're like, did we not? Okay, but is there a single character in this movie that's likable?
I think the girls are likable.
I think two of the girls are likable.
I think all 3 of them kind of are, but they're just paper thin.
They're super paper thin. Is our main character likable?
No.
Absolutely not.
I wrote down, I think this is the most unlikable character I've seen as a main character ever.
It's up there.
It's gotta be, unless you're making like Joker or something like that.
Which the point is to not like them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as a hero, the most unlikable.
I mean, yeah, like, I'm just even thinking back to movies that were panned at the time. You know, the meme that is Star Wars Attack of the Clones. There's even some cool stuff about Anakin that you're like, alright.
Yeah. And Anakin at least has like one triumphant moment in each movie.
Yeah. You know, when Anakin gets the sword, you're like, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty damn good with the lightsaber. That's cool. Something. There is not a single redemptive quality to Dakota Johnson's character, and the way she portrays the character makes it horrid.
Yeah.
I would say, I guess I like Adam Scott if we're going to say likability, but I don't think that it's enough. It's fine.
Adam Scott likable. The character is whatever.
The character's
fine. But Adam Scott is likable, therefore you like Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
I wrote down that all she does is scorn people the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that in what world is that likable? A character that just yells at people.
It's the kind of person that gets people to go away forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, also another note on that. Why is it that every movie people that become blind magically stop talking like humans?
True.
Why
Yeah.
why do we need to do that?
The only one that doesn't is Daredevil in the TV series.
Yeah. But
That's the only one I.
why is all of a sudden she's blind and then she just starts talking like she's this fucking ancient sage from a
Yeah.
video game? But she has
Yeah.
no wisdom?
She speaks like Professor X or something.
Yeah, it's so fucking oh god, it's just characters are unlikable. The movie's not believable at all. The locations aren't believable.
It's ugly.
It's ugly. It doesn't look good. I don't understand how they thought that this was a worthwhile proposition. And that's
Maybe,
where
maybe it was built to tank just for a tax write-off.
I mean, I hate that that's a thing, but yeah, it's a possibility. But
Studios do it sometimes.
well, the thing is, I don't think this is good. I don't want this to be a thing. But if I'm going to play devil's advocate with myself, I almost kind of respect like Warner Brothers when they said, "No, Batgirl, this isn't good enough," and they just said it's an $80 million tax write-off, and they just took it, and everyone and the fans were up in arms like, "What do you mean?" And they're just like, "We didn't think this was good enough to release, so we didn't release it."
I like that they took the responsibility and they said, "Hey, you know what? It's not a good movie. Therefore, we're not going to release it."
And also, like, that movie had similar things. It had the sacred cow that was already ruined, and they saw the damage.
Yeah.
The only positive thing from that 2023 Flash film is the 4 minutes of Michael Keaton you get where he's not taken down by others. And it's just Michael Keaton getting to be Michael Keaton Batman again.
Yeah.
That is the
but even that, the problem is it's an ugly movie.
It's an ugly movie and it doesn't make sense and it hurts people's feelings. But at least I got to see Michael Keaton Batman again.
Yeah, compare Batman in Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, dark, brooding, to the one in The Flash, where he's just lit daylight the whole time. It is so funny.
It's so bad and it makes no sense. At least I got to hear the Danny Elfman music, I guess.
Yeah, that was a pretty good moment.
But they had, in that Batgirl film, Michael Keaton Batman. And they were like,
"Oh, I didn't know that.
Stakes are too high. Fuck that shit. We're out."
Yeah, they made a good call then.
Or at least there was plans to do it, and I think they did shoot some stuff, and they were like, no. Whereas, like, this, you are so desperately trying to make a Spider-Verse. Just stop. I don't understand how Sony has not gotten the message yet. If I were Sony, and I know this is crazy because they would never do it, but if you want to get some goodwill, what I would literally make the deal with Marvel and be like, give us a couple $1 billion. You can have the character back. I was going to say,
just pull a George Lucas and sell it.
Because even the Spider-Man video game franchise that's extremely popular, Spider-Man 2 honestly wasn't that big of a success. And people weren't crazy about it. They liked it, but they weren't crazy about it. Whereas the first one and the Miles Morales entry were wildly popular. People loved that. People ate that shit up. I watched the entire game as a cutscene. That's how much it was that good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that game.
And then I just make a deal with them. Say, as part of this deal, we want to have first right refusal exclusive on Marvel video games. And Disney can say yay or nay.
To wrap this up, I was going to ask you, do you have a one-word description to encapsulate this movie? I have mine.
Go for it.
I wrote down embarrassing. I think everyone in it, everyone who worked on it, should be somewhat embarrassed.
Yeah. I think that's there. I'm looking for a better word than pathetic or apathetic
Yeah. Or bath.
because or
Yeah.
just baffling because this movie served nobody. It didn't serve
Yeah.
its actors. It didn't serve its franchise. It didn't serve its studio. It didn't serve as a quality film to start a franchise. Who did it? Who did it serve? It didn't serve its fans.
Yeah.
Like, here's my biggest issue. I have not watched Venom. I have not watched Venom.
I haven't either.
I've heard that Venom, the first one, was a fun, dumb movie, and the second one is bad. That is what I've heard. I cannot confirm. Haven't seen them myself. I know for a fact from watching half of Morbius, it is brutal. Brutally bad.
Yeah, I refuse to watch that movie.
I saw it on Netflix and I was really bored, and I said, you know what? I know how bad this is, but I like the character Morbius. Let me see how bad it is. And I turned it off in 45 minutes. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Can't do it. No. But it flabbergasted me. We got into this a little bit on another show. How often we want to make franchise films over at Sony, or how often every studio needs their mega universe now, which I get.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a fan, I'm a proponent. I want more Star Wars, I want more DC Comics, I want more MCU, just done properly, done well. I want a Monsters universe. I was a huge proponent of the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
I want all those things. I want Warner Brothers to ink a deal to bring Nintendo characters to the screen and make a Super Smash Bros. I'd lose my fucking mind if we could do that shit. But it makes no sense to me. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. It doesn't work. Nobody liked what you did with Spider-Man until you turn the reins over to somebody else. Spider-Man's not yours. The successful Spider-Man is not yours. You can say it is all you want.
Yeah.
But it's not, and everybody knows it. Most people don't even know Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man.
In their universe, the Sony Spider-Man universe, they've made two good movies. The first one and the second one. That's it.
I would say Amazing Spider-Man is a fun movie. Not great, but fine.
It's mediocre. It's mediocre.
There's enough moments that you can say, a decent start enough to a franchise.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's still not a good movie. I wouldn't describe it as good.
It's not something that makes me want to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
And then we have, this movie is just clinging to any scraps to say that this is in the Spider-Man world. What was the point of half the movie trailers showing the superhero girls, and they're not even superheroes in this movie?
I'm curious to see how many seconds you actually see them as the characters.
It has to be under 2 minutes. It has to be.
I would say it's under 30 seconds.
I'm just thinking collectively we may have gotten enough to get up to that point.
But it's definitely under a minute. Definitely.
But it's brutal. You're clinging to, we need to give birth to Spider-Man in this. We need Spider-Man's mom in this. We need Uncle Ben to be essential to be the only nice person to Madam Web. We're just clinging to scraps. But again, you want to start a universe. You want to get in the game. We're going to go to the woman who's a paraplegic blind woman, seer of the Spider-Verse, instead of saying, let's go Miles Morales.
Yeah.
How about, we've wanted a Black Cat movie for over 10 years. Hey, there's this young hot actress that really wants to work with us for another thing. And she looks exactly like the goddamn character.
Yeah.
Down to, even if you want to go inappropriate mean style, she even has the chest to play a comic accurate fucking version of the character.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is relevant, but she even has that to create this character.
I think if they had just done a Black Cat movie, I think Sydney Sweeney actually would have been on board for a franchise
Yes.
because she also produces movies. So it's like she at least has some ambition.
Yes. And I'm not saying it would have been good. I wouldn't have been
No.
excited, but at least I could have said, you're taking a shot and trying to make something work. You're trying. This is just so desperate to cling to. We own Spider-Man, so this is our thing. Go make your own franchise. Go get involved with something else. Go make a deal for a video game franchise that doesn't have a deal yet. Go talk to, I don't fucking know. Let's just bring up my favorite. Go talk to Microsoft and Bethesda and say, we think the fantasy game is at its height right now. We would like to make the Elder Scrolls. We want to make those movies. Fine. We own Uncharted. We failed with that. Let's figure that one out. What? God of War. We own that shit. Let's make God of War. No. Let's keep clinging to Spider-Man.
Yeah. And with the amount of stuff they try cramming in this movie, it's amazing how little actually happens.
It is so apathetic. This is the definition of kid had an assignment and rushed to get it done at the end because he didn't care. This is so bad. It doesn't serve a male audience, a female audience, a non-binary audience, a studio, comic book fans, comic book historians, franchisees, businesses. The only thing that this movie served was Pepsi Cola. And that is it.
Yep. Yeah.
This film was fucking brutal.
I guess to end it, would you recommend it?
Absolutely not. Here's what I would say. What would be my conditions to recommend this film?
I would say watch it if you're either really high or really drunk, because then you get some good laughs. That's it.
I will say this. I'll counter with this. If you would like to encourage binge drinking, which you shouldn't, it's a horrible idea. But if you would like to encourage that, you have to take a drink every time Dakota Johnson is unlikable on screen.
Yeah. I mean,
or scorns somebody on screen.
Yeah, you're going to be plastered by the end, but yeah.
Or if you're trying to kill someone through alcohol poisoning, recommend this film. And play it and make it a drinking game.
Yeah.
Or you want to prove that Marvel associated projects also suck. Show somebody this. Because for as much as as much shit as I get as a DC fan when people bring up The Flash or Justice League, and I'm like, yeah, I can't defend those. Those suck. I'm also the first person to say, hey, you guys remember X3? Because I do.
I just rewatched that.
I did too. It's not good. It's not good.
It's better than this, though.
Yes! At least it still has Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Yeah.
At least people are still trying.
Ugh.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. I hate this movie. I hate it. I'll just say it. I straight up hate it. And
well, I picked this movie. Do you have a one you want to do next?
I would like to say this. Because I think although bad movies give us a lot to talk about, I think we need to try to pick a movie that is sort of considered good or that we like so that this series does not just become us shitting all over movies.
Hey, I didn't shit on Sleepaway Camp.
I did, but I was intrigued. I was intrigued at the very least. There were things that I at least kind of dug as an old school horror fan. So, let's pick a movie that we either know that we like, or has enough interesting things that we could go maybe.
I have an idea, but it goes against your good movie thing.
Good enough.
I was gonna say The Black Cauldron.
I'm fucking down. We're watching The Black Cauldron for the next one. That's a cult
Because
movie. It's not a great movie, but I fucking adore it. I love that movie.
yeah, I've been meaning to rewatch it lately, so that's why.
All right, so the next time Dylan is on the show and we're in our cult classic series, we're going to go and we're going to watch Black Cauldron. That is what we're going to do. And before we leave, I got to ask everybody this. If you loved this 2 hours of just bitching and moaning about Madam Web, we appreciate you listening. Head on over to our Etsy shop. Go over to ptecreative.etsy.com. You can see all kinds of cool merch there. We got shirts, we got hats, we got hoodies, we got t-shirts. We even got Pokemon mystery packs over there. It's all kinds of cool stuff. Go to ptecreative.etsy.com or go check out the rest of our stuff over on our channel Monday through Friday. We got all kinds of cool stuff over there that will help you out, get you through the dark days of summer, because apparently it's a fucking heat wave due to global warming across the entire world right now. And it was 99 degrees here today, and it sucks as of recording.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, go check those things out. Go check out our socials, and we'll be back with another awesome edition of the ONETA Show, brought to you by PT Creative soon. Any final words that we need to say with these people? And that is our review of Madam Web, and we will catch you next time on the show. Peace out, folks. Peace, love, and hugs to you all. Go watch a great movie. Bye!